Good morning. I'm waiting for the signal. We're good. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, everybody. Reverend Linda's back. Yay. Now, if you'd please stand and we'll sing One Light. If you just get all snugly in your chair, take a deep breath. Feel your body relax and hear these words. Let us come together in prayer, friends. We take this time in prayer to become centered. We use our gifts of imagination and creativity to turn away from outer concerns and circumstances and turn within to the inner sanctuary of pure love. We immerse ourselves in the power of the all-encompassing, unconditional love where there are no expectations and no reservations. Nothing can diminish the power of divine love. We live, love, move, and have our being from this unending reservoir of love. Therefore, we are the power of love. That, dear ones, is our truth. And from that place, we claim wholeness, freedom, and peace for our lives. And we hold the high watch for peace and harmony in the world. We see the world not as it is, but as we know it can be. And by faith, we hold the world in the light of peace that is possible. We take a moment now to silently add our individual prayers. And now we go forward, knowing the light of God shines on our paths, and we are grateful. And so it is. Amen. If you would now join me in our statement of faith. There is only one power and one presence in my life and in the universe. God the good, omniscience, omnipresence, and omnipotence. And our core values. Unity of Port St. Lucie encourages diversity and embraces harmonious and creative pursuits of truth and knowledge in a safe environment to achieve balance and wholeness in the world. Now, if you'd please stand, and we'll sing our congregational song, one of our favorites. Now, Anne will read the daily word.
Good morning. And a shout out to all our YouTubers. Daily word for today is glory. I celebrate the glory of God in myself and all others. Magnificence, radiance, and tremendous power. These are all expiring qualities that describe the glory of God. Because I am a living expression of spirit, these glorious attributes are also part of my spiritual nature. In the peace of prayer, exquisite awareness of God's glory fills my mind and heart. Everyone is God's living expression, a reflection of divine glory, just as I am. Even when my limited human perception has not yet perceived it, my faith shows me this truth about every person I meet. As my awareness of glory within awakens, spiritual wisdom, understanding, and love teach me to cooperate with all who are seeking to build greater harmony, abundance, and compassion among all humankind and the world's creatures. The glory you have given me, I have given them, so that they may be one as we are one. From John 17:22. Please say with me the affirmation. I celebrate the glory of God in myself and all others.
So I invite you, friends, to relax deeply in your chairs. Let go of the need to hold on to anything at all. Release whatever tension you might be carrying in your shoulders, your jaws, your neck. Simply let go. Allow the chair you're sitting in to support you completely. Focus on your breath. Breathing into that inner sanctuary, our heart space right now. Breathing into it together, collectively coming together now as one heart, one mind, breathing the same air, sharing this sacred experience of silence. We imagine that altar in our hearts, and we lay down on that altar every intention we have, every concern, every care. We lay them all down. We let them go. And we let the peaceful, powerful, loving presence of God fill us up. Fill us up right now to overflowing. Overflowing. We are immersed in the peaceful, powerful, loving presence of God. And we commune with that presence together right now in the silence. And now, very slowly, gently, we return our attention to the outer, to the world around us, to our senses, to the sounds we hear, to the air we feel, slowly and gently. Recharged, renewed, and restored in our awareness of oneness with our source and with each other. We open up our eyes slowly, and we sing together about the bond of love. Good morning. I'm taking you all in since I didn't see some of you earlier. So I had to go like this, Judy. Yeah. Good to see all of you. Wonderful to see all of you. So the title today of my talk is We've Got the Power. And I want to share something with you from Reverend Eric Butterworth. How many of you know that name? Yeah. Not everybody. Many of you, though. Eric was a Unity minister who served in New York City for many, many years, authored many, many, many books, and probably one of the most famous Unity ministers who's ever lived, and by most measures, one of the most successful, profound teacher. And so this is probably his most popular book, Discover the Power Within. If you're new to Unity and you haven't read it, I recommend it highly. And in the very beginning is this thing called a prologue, which I want to read to you. According to an old Hindu legend, there was a time when all men were gods, but they so abused their divinity that Brahma, the chief god, decided to take it away and hide it where they would never find it again. The question was, where to hide it? When the lesser gods were called into council to consider the question, they said, I'll tell you what, we'll bury man's identity deep in the earth. But Brahma said, no, that won't do. Man will simply dig deep down into the earth and find it. Then they said, okay, well, we'll sink it into the deepest ocean. And once more, Brahma said, no, not there. For man will learn to dive into the deepest waters and search the ocean bed, and we'll find it. Then the lesser gods said, okay, we'll take it to the top of the highest mountain on earth, and we'll hide it there. And again, Brahma replied, no, man will eventually climb every high mountain on earth. They'll find some way to find, they will find it one day and take it up again for themselves. So the lesser gods gave up. They said, we don't know where to hide it. There seems like to be no place on earth or in the sea that man will not eventually reach and find it. And Brahma said, here's what we'll do with man's divinity. We'll hide it deep down in man himself, because he'll never think to look there. Ever since then, the legend concludes, man has been going up and down the earth, climbing, digging, diving, exploring, and searching for something already inside. 2,000 years ago, a man named Jesus found it and shared its secret. But in the movement that sprang up around his name, the divinity in man continues to be kept the best secret on earth. Amen. I'm tempted to comment on that, but I'm not going to. You probably have heard some version of that story. I know that I have told it. I've never read it from Eric's book, Reverend Butterworth's book, but I have certainly told it. So our divinity, he says, and of course the whole book makes that point, our divinity is deep inside of us. We are divine, spiritual, human beings. So what does that mean? Well, it means a lot of things. It means that we have, among other things, great spiritual power. Think about it. If we are indeed spiritual beings, and I believe we are, I know we are, then we have great spiritual power. Power. That word has come up for me recently in the past 2 or 3 months on several occasions. And so I decided to dive into it, dig into it, reflect on it, and come to you today and talk about power. Jesus said something in John chapter 16, verse 12. Quote, I have yet many things to say unto you, but ye cannot bear them now. I have always believed that that statement suggests that he could very well have gone on to try and teach us precisely all about the power that we have within, but believed we weren't ready to hear it. And you can personalize that statement. I don't know about you, but there was a time in my life where I wasn't ready to hear certain of these teachings. I didn't understand them because I wasn't ready to hear them. I don't know about you, but I sometimes make the foolish mistake of sharing a profound truth, according to our understanding, with some family member facing some kind of a challenge and having them look at me like I have two heads. We're not ready to hear what we're not ready to hear. The best kept secret, we are divine. We have power. Boy, oh boy, do we have power. Yeah, I don't know if you're aware of it, but I've been helping the Unity Church in Daytona Beach quite a lot lately. They've been without a minister for a while, and they've just completed their search process using Unity Worldwide Ministries, using that particular methodology and that protocol, following that protocol. And so they have now hired their new senior minister, announced it last week, in fact, and she starts in October. So until she comes and settles in, I'm speaking there pretty much every week. And the word power has come up. Though I haven't done a talk with them about power, it has come up. One of the ways it's come up is that they've asked me to do a two-part new member orientation based on the 5 principles. So what they're doing is they're providing all of their prospective new members a free copy of the 5 Principles book by Reverend Ellen Davenport, and then over 2 consecutive Sunday afternoons, I'll be teaching from that book so that new members will come into Unity with a basic understanding, just a basic understanding at a minimum about what Unity believes. And in preparing for that 2-part series, I knew that one of the things I would do first off is just give them a quick, brief history of Unity, history of the movement, because I think it's important, if you're going to be a member of Unity, that you understand its origin, where it came from. And of course, whenever I have done that in the past, and I've done lots of new member orientations for several different churches, I always tell Myrtle's Fillmore's story, always, always. And I know I have told it to many of you. So I won't tell it in great detail, but I will say this in summary. Myrtle and Charles Fillmore founded Unity. Myrtle, in her early 20s, was diagnosed with tuberculosis, which in those days was a death sentence. It was a death sentence. You did not recover from it. You slowly weakened until you died. She was a young woman with young babies, and she grew very, very weak very quickly. Now, at the same time, she and her husband were starting to travel and attend lectures by popular New Thought speakers and authors of the day. And they attended a lecture in the area in which they lived, and the lecture was given by a man named E.B. Weeks. And E.B. talked about the power within. He talked about the fact that we want to exercise that power. And Myrtle heard something that resonated deeply with her. It was an affirmation. I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. You know, I use that all the time. I don't know if any of you have experienced this, but if someone approaches me for a hug and they say, I've been feeling a little under the weather, I say, I do not inherit sickness and I hug. It works. I just letting you know. So the story goes that Myrtle began to use this affirmation religiously. She began to repeat this over and over again as she spoke to her body. Repeated it over and over and over again. And when I've told that story in the past, I think I placed too much emphasis, perhaps, on the fact that she repeated it so often, suggesting that the only way this business works is for you to repeat affirmations over and over and over again. And that might be true when you're brand new to Unity. Myrtle was brand new. What was she really doing? She was changing her mind. She was changing her mind. That's what she was doing. And she repeated it as often as she needed to repeat it until she believed it. And again, I don't know about you, but when I was new to Unity, man, I used to write affirmations down all over the place. I had them on colorful pieces of construction paper and Post-it notes. I had them all over. And sometimes they'd be on my bureau mirror and sometimes my bathroom mirror. And oh my goodness, I don't want to get too close to that. And I would repeat them. Sometimes I would drive with my car windows down and shout them. Seriously, I did. Over and over again. Not so much anymore. I love them. And I find one occasionally that I love, and I'll work it for a while. And if I find myself in a tight spot, I'll create one of my own and use it for a little bit. But I don't have to work nearly so hard at it because I understand my power now. And many of you certainly understand your power. Not all, but many of you. I went to Imelda Shanklin for another activity that I'm engaged in with people, and I found this passage. Get my readers out, you know. I can't do this without them, so bear with me here. And I need two hands. So Imelda Shanklin is one of my favorite New Thought writers and teachers. And she wrote this over 100 years ago, so the language is a little old-fashioned. But it's every bit as important today, if not more important today, than it was when she wrote it. And this is what she says about power. Take this in. Your power is not an isolated potentiality. It's a point of departure for universal power. It is associated with all forms of power. Your power. In character, it is identical to the power that produces the swing and the pull of the planets. The same power, your power. It's identical to the power that manifests in weather. The same power. With erosions that change the faces of continents. That operates in tides that hasten or delay traffic, that sings in waterfalls, that crowds out one season for another. The same power. Pursue this truth. Pursue these probings of power until you have included yourself. The worker of magic in a universe of magic. You, the fearfully and wonderfully made, the marvelous mechanism of body and the omnipotent mind, have to your credit all of visible creation. Have as your possibility the making of all the Edens you shall care to inhabit. reference the Garden of Eden. Your power, our power, every bit as great and the very same as the greatest powers of the universe that we marvel over. When we're new to unity, it is unthinkable to embrace that idea. It seems a little, braggadocious to walk around declaring that you have that kind of power. But it's true, is it not? How many of you already believe it's true? Most all of you. So when Myrtle was using that affirmation, she was exercising her power to change her mind. She was changing her reaction to what she was told was happening to her body. She was changing her focus away from the physical to a different realm, the spiritual realm. She was new to unity, and so she worked hard. We no longer have to work that hard, friends. There's the good news. Because in the process of working it, working affirmations, practicing affirmations, applying them to your lives, you begin to change your core beliefs. You really no longer believe that you were born in original sin. Can I hear an amen? Amen. Heck no. You know better. You no longer believe that you are powerless over what happens to you. You change your core belief. You now know that mankind, individuals, members of the human race, are innately good. Innately good. And so you go about looking for that good. You go about looking for that good. Sometimes you actually call it into expression in someone else because you looked for it. Talk about power. Own that. Own that power. It isn't always easy. It is not always easy. Sometimes I feel my power slip sliding away. No recognition of that song at all anywhere in the room. Jeff, thank you. Slip sliding away. One of my favorites. Slip sliding away. Have you ever felt your power slip sliding away? Uh-huh, Jeff says. But I know that the answer is yes for all of you. Every single one of you. We share that. We are human beings. We share some of these experiences, maybe all of our experiences on some level. A couple of months ago, I developed some symptoms that were scary. I had extreme pain behind my right eye, and my eyelid drooped, and my vision changed. And I called my ophthalmologist, and she said, "Get your butt over here now." Because she thought I was having a stroke. And I wondered myself. But I started with her because I respect her, and she was available. And she looked carefully and said, "It's not your eye. So you need to go to the emergency room." I'm like, "No, I don't want to do that." She said, "Linda, because if it is a stroke, the sooner they get to you, the better the odds that you fully recover." I'm like, "Well, I can't argue with that because I know that's true." So I went to Starbucks, and then I went to the emergency room. I walked into Starbucks with a venti vanilla latte. My daughter tells that story to everybody who will listen. She thinks it's hysterical. But I figured if I was going to be there for a while, I might as well relax and enjoy myself to the extent that I could. Because I really didn't think I was having a stroke. But, you know, I mean, they're the experts, right? They get paid the big bucks to know these things. Well, long story short, they needed to do immediately a CAT scan of my brain, and then another one with contrast. And then they get this, what would he be? I forget what they're called, brain people. Neurologist, no? Yes? Yeah, neurologist. Oh, guess what? From Chicago. So they wheel this big screen like that into my room, in the emergency room cubicle. They wheel one of those big screens in, and here's this very good-looking doctor from Chicago. And I'm like, if I'd have known you're coming, I would have brushed my hair or something. Terrible. They do that now. Isn't that wonderful? That we have access to what I assume is that level of expertise that could be anywhere in the world. And he said, oh, here's the bad news. I think you have a brain aneurysm. I'm like, what's that? He said, so we're going to admit you because we need to do an MRI to be sure. We need to do an MRI to find out more about it. So we're going to admit you. But that means we have to take you by ambulance to the hospital because this is just a local ER freestanding in Port Orange. I'm like, sure, okay. Now I felt my power slip sliding away. I felt my power slip sliding away. I began to give it away. I began to focus on that scary idea. I began to focus on a ride in the back of an ambulance. I began to focus on all of that slip sliding away. But it didn't last. It didn't last long because the moment I realized, I took it back. I took it back. That's what we do after we've been around unity for a while. We take it back. And we always can, and we always will, and we always do. And I don't know about you, but I always feel better. So by the time I got up to that big, bad hospital, my light was shining brightly. Yeah, they was. They needed to put blinders on when they came into my room. Seriously, you know? I talk about Estelle being feisty. I can be too, girl. Yeah. Yeah, so they have, it turns out, in the basement of this big hospital whose name I'm not going to mention, they have holding cells. If you're coming in for testing and that's the only reason you're hanging out, you don't get a nice room. You get a holding cell. And guess what? It's the size of a single room now turned into a double. So there's a curtain between you. And if you both reached out like this, you could hold hands with the person in the next bed. And they're so busy and overworked down there that you are lucky to get any attention whatsoever. And they put me in there, and they said, just hang tight. We're going to schedule the MRI. I said, when are you going to do it? Well, probably in the next couple of hours. Fast forward, next day. Now, meanwhile, the woman in the bed next to me snored like a truck driver. Not only did I not feel good, because, by the way, the pain was still there, and they couldn't give me anything for it because they couldn't reach my doctor. So not only did I not feel good, but I couldn't sleep because this person was snoring so loudly that the building vibrated. Next morning, when they finally made their way in to see me, I'm like, can I have some Tylenol? No. Okay. Well, when are they going to do? Soon. Couple hours. This woman was discharged. Thank you, God. And the room was mine again for a couple of hours. And then they brought in this woman who was throwing up and gagging constantly. Now, I don't know about you, but I have one of those gag reflexes. If somebody else in my hearing distance is throwing up, I'm going to join them. Nonstop. Nonstop. My power was sliding away, and so was my love. So was my compassion. So was my kindness. All of it right out the door. Gone. Temporarily. It was nasty. My sister, who's a chaplain, called and she said, "How are you doing?" And then she said, "What's that noise? Is there someone vomiting?" I'm like, "Yeah." She said, "Why?" I'm like, "What do I know?" They did not share that information with me. God bless her. She was just upchucking. A little while later, they came in, and so quickly, they put her together, and they got her out of that room and put her in another one, and then they came in and disinfected, and I could smell the disinfectant, and I was like, "What is going on?" And they said, "Well, she might have something that you could get, so we're removing her." Do you ever see the snake pit? Sliding away. You know, I tried to take the high road. I really did. But it was increasingly more difficult. Then this neurologist comes in and he says, "Hi," and he shook my hand and he said, "You know, we're going to do an MRI. I said, "I've been told." "Do you know when?" He said, "Very soon." Shortly after they finished cleaning that room, they brought in my next roommate, who was a very elderly little lady who had no idea where she was, who spoke to dead people all around the room, who tried to run away several times. She got their attention, because one of the things they really care about in the hospital is that you might fall. You know, if you might fall, they're going to give you all kinds of attention. And she tried to run away, so she got their attention like every 10 minutes. And then when I coughed, she's like, "Who's there?" It was an incredibly interesting experience. And I'd about had it up to here, so I finally took a very deep breath, made sure my gown was tight in the back, and walked out to the station. Now there's this, like on Star Trek, they're all sitting there in front of these screens, about 7 or 8 or 9 of them, and they've all got their faces on their screens, and they're all putting in notes, and they're up, they don't even notice me walking up, and I'm like, "Who's in charge?" And they looked around, and this man, middle-aged man, said, "That would be me." I said, "Okay, here's the deal. You either schedule an MRI for me within the next 2 hours, or I'm walking and I'm not signing anything, and I'm going to give you such a black eye you'll never, ever, ever recover." I didn't mean him personally. I meant the hospital. So within 2 hours, this lovely young man came into my room and said, "Hey, I'm here to take you to your MRI. I'm like, "Oh, really?" Yeah. So I went and had an MRI. So they did the MRI, and then the neurologist came back into the room and he said, "So yeah, you have a brain aneurysm, and here's what it means, and blah, 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 blah. And so you should follow up with this person. It's not breaking loose right now, you're fine. And we don't think these symptoms are associated, by the way. But when we were doing the MRI, we found something else." Yeah, I know. "And it's over here, and it looks like it might be metastasized cancer, right here. So we want you to stay so we can schedule a needle biopsy." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You want me to stay here in this snake pit? When are you going to do it?" "Well, hopefully tomorrow." I said, "That's not good enough." He said, "Well, here's the drill. If we send you home and your physician orders it, it could be weeks till they get you in. If you stay here, you will be getting it within the next 2 to 3 days. I'm like, "Well, I'm not willing to wait here for 2 to 3 days, so let's throw caution to the wind and discharge me, please." Now, I tell you all of this to say that that resulted in a PET scan. You know what PET scans are. I've always associated them with cancer, don't you? Yeah, so they did a PET scan and they found not one, not two, but 3 areas in my body that lit up like a Christmas tree. Yep, 3. 3. Now, I don't want to stand here and talk about all of this for much longer because some of you are looking so sad, I can't bear it. I'm fine. I'm fine. There is no cancer in my body. This, I tell you, in spite of the fact that at least 3 different specialists had me convinced that I had cancer. 3 needle biopsies later, not 1, not 2, but 3. Several diagnostic images, several consultations, and I found out that I'm cancer-free. And that aneurysm has a 2% chance of breaking loose and killing me. Slip sliding away. Now, the good news is that during that process, after I was told that I probably have 3 different cancers in my body, 3 different cancers, not 1 cancer metastasized, 3 different cancers. I don't look like I've got cancer killing me, right? I'm pretty healthy looking. So I never did really believe it, at the core of my being. But when they're all telling you stuff like that, it's hard. It was hard to keep my power. So I chose to go to the worst case scenario in my head. I chose to imagine that, in fact, I had 3 areas of cancer in my body, and I was going to find out what stage and what kind. And then once I had that information, I was going to go ahead and prepare to die. And I kept mostly to myself. I shared this with very, very few people. It's a very personal experience. But I became really okay with all of it. Very okay. I actually thank God for letting me know in advance how I was going to be checking out so that I could prepare. So when the final diagnoses came back and they said it's not cancer after all, it's this, I was a little disappointed. Does anybody understand that? I told a dear friend who's been a true student for longer than me, I told them that by email. I shouldn't have, because they knew. And I'm actually a little disappointed. And he's like, oh my God, honey, you need help. Every Monday morning, I do a meditation group online. And one of my favorite people, they're all my favorite. I can't do that. They're all my favorite. They're my family. One of them is 95 years old. Her name is Norma. She's watching right now. She knew. And she said, I told her I was disappointed. She said, honey, it was a dress rehearsal. She said, trust me, when you get to be my age and you're a good, true student, you'll have more dress rehearsals. Yeah, it's nice to be prepared and to be ready and to face it head on and take back your power over it. So friends, I share that with you, not to alarm you. I really am fine. I can't say I've never felt better. That would be a bold-faced lie. I feel really good. Really good. I don't have cancer anywhere. And, most of you probably have your own brain aneurysm. Human beings walk around with them and only find out accidentally, usually, that they have one. My mother, God rest her soul, had 3 when she died, and that was not the cause of her death. So, I can handle 2%. And it's not a bad way to go either. It's quick, very quick. 1 second you're awake and the next second you're gone. It's good to laugh about this, ladies. So we're not getting any younger. And you know, the longer we hang out on this earth plane, in these bodies, which have a shelf life, they were designed to deteriorate. Mine's begun, obviously. It becomes more challenging to own your power and to exercise your power. And it's tricky. It's tricky to, on one hand, exercise your spiritual power, and on the other hand, be fully aware of what's going on physically to your body and what you're being told about that. It's difficult. So I went back to Miss Shanklin, and I found this. No accidents, truly no accidents. But guess what? She spoke about this over 100 years ago. And here's what she says. To induce mental balance, you must construct a consciousness that can deal with the absolute and remain practical, that can deal with the relative and not become materialistic. So in other words, she means you have to learn how to deal with both levels of reality. There's actually something going on in my body on one level. On another level, I am a spiritual being with eternal life. And none of this has anything to do with my soul. The most important thing about me is my soul. So that's what she's saying. You need to find a balance. You need to be able to work with both. She says occasionally to consider life in the absolute, in the unchanging level, on the unchanging plane, is refreshing. Occasionally. To do so washes away the clay from your eyes and hushes the din of the world around you. Wholly, though, to discard the relative, the material world, is to throw yourself out of step with the march of events. You don't want to do that. You have to be fully aware of what's going on. You have to engage with it on some level. In your present development, life is both absolute and relative. You must consider mind, and you must consider substance in which your mind works. Mind is your equipment in full. Substance is the pliant stuff of your life. You are mind, but you have built a body. You have built a body that you must consider and cherish and be grateful for. Balance. Balance. So, the point of the story, how I use power, how I've experienced power, I've gotten pretty good at it. There were people, my daughter among them, who knew what was going on, who were astounded that I was handling it the way I was. I have a girlfriend who's a true student and said, honestly, if it were me, I'd be curled up in a fetal position in my bed wailing. Only because I understand power. I understand my power. You understand your power. And it may become challenging for one reason or another. Not always because of a physical ailment or the threat of a physical ailment. It may become challenging, but you get it. So here's what I want you to take away today. You all have power. Every single solitary one of you. I can't read it, it's too white. Claim it. Claim it. Use it. But don't give it away. Do not give it away. Maybe for just a little bit, like I did, but take it back. Take it back. You always have redos. Use your redos. God bless you. I love you.
I'm always waiting for Jeff. I'm used to it. He's coming in a minute. He's older than me, so he had to go. Releasing your power.
Your word waiting for, honey.
Thank you. Think of your fellow man, lend a helping hand, put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late, please don't hesitate, put a little love in your heart. And the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Another day goes by, still the children cry. Just put a little love in your heart. If you want the world to know, we won't let hatred grow. Put a little love in your heart, see, and the world will be a better place. And the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Wait and see. Woo. Take a good look around. If you're feeling down, put a little love in your heart. I'm hoping you decide kindness will be your guide. Just put a little love in your heart, see, and the world will be a better place. And the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Hey, put a little love in your heart every day now. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart every day, yeah. Put a little love in your heart. And the world will be a better place. See, the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Hey, put a little love in your heart every day now. Put a little love in. There's no other way. Put a little love in your heart. Say, hey. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love. Put a little love in your. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Yes. Put a little love in your heart. Thank you.
Wow. I don't know what's blown me away more. Linda, you're my new hero. Absolutely. I mean, oh, truly gives me hope for myself. Okay. It's that time in the service. If you would take your gifts of love and hold them in your hand and repeat with me. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love because I love to give. Okay. Judy Walker is going to be our prayer chaplain today, and she'll be over here more than happy to pray with you and lift you up. Yoga with Lana. Be there or be squared. Prayer circle. Every Tuesday morning from 11 to 11:30. Another place to get lifted up. And Reiki, if you would like a Reiki session with Sherry, please see her and she'll arrange an appointment for you here at the church or wherever. And we'll come. Y'all want to come up?
Blessings to every giver here today. Thank you for these gifts. We bless you. We behold the Christ in you. We are so grateful. And we lift these prayer requests up right now in prayer, right now, knowing that every prayer is answered at the right time, in the right way. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you. A special thank you for everyone that helped with the service today, and thank you for being here. And I see our president has a message.
For the new people here, the first couple of times he did that, I was embarrassed. I wanted to crawl under a chair because he was playing that. And now I think it should happen anytime I enter a room. So there you go. Yeah, right. See, that's what happens. Just want you to know the first, and I wasn't going to talk today, but that first bookshelf there is all Unity books. And there are a ton of Eric Butterworth. Discover Your Powers, probably there. If you are interested, take it, read it. Imelda Shanklin, some of her, I think I didn't file everything right, but she's in the Unity or she might be over in the other. And so if you're interested in either one of them, probably the books are here. Thank you, I'm done.
And you know, a special thank you to Sherry, who has organized this whole thing. And let me tell you, that was a job. And it looks gorgeous over there now. So thank you, Sherry. Thank you. And Jeff helped. And Jeff helped.
Yeah, she did it all by herself. Yeah.
Do you have any announcements?
Well, we haven't quite gotten an agreement here, but choir's going to start next September, which is around the corner, and we're going to start rehearsals on Wednesday.
Oh.
We had to
Okay,
switch
yeah,
days
okay.
because of our work schedule.
That's okay.
I lost my power when I got married. But now I know how to get it back. So you saved my marriage. Wednesday at 6:30. Okay, she'll
Okay.
text the
We'll get a
choir
text.
people.
Okay. Is that
I'm
it?
just a pawn, that's it.
Okay, if you would all stand, please, and we'll sing our peace song. Have a blessed week.